Well, the difficulty is, in the past, we've been blessed with a great highway system, and because we've had the funds, the necessary funds to build a great highway system. But now the Highway Commission is depending more and more on federal revenue, and that federal revenue is diminishing. So we're just faced with a situation because of the needed state services. We don't have as much money to spend on highways, public money, as we used to have. So consequently, the Texas Turnpike Authority must now look at these projects to see if we can render a service by conducting these, by building these roads more or less under the free enterprise system, where we don't use tax revenues, we sell revenue bonds and let the users of the tollways pay for the roads.
Well, Carl, I've been with the Baltimore organization for the last 15 years. In fact, this will be my 16th year with them. I played some 5 years, and then I started managing when I got my arm hurt. And you know, an old catcher that can't throw has to do something else. So at the particular time, there was a managing job available, and at the time, Harry Dalton was our farm director in Baltimore. And I told him I'd take it, and I've been managing ever since, and this is the 11th year coming up.
Have you any idea yet of which personnel you'll have on this ball club?
If the citizens of Dallas could invest another $2 million, say, in the Auditorium and Convention Center, knowing they would reap a $12 to $15 million return in a period of 7 years, would they do it? Well, it wouldn't be a bad investment, economically speaking, and they may indeed be asked to come up with another $2, $2.5, or even $3 million. There is a group of conventioners wanting to hold 5 consecutive conventions in Dallas starting in the summer of 1973. But in order for their business, they have to be promised that in return, this convention center will be ready to provide them with 300,000 square feet by summer of 1973. Now, we can do it, but that's not within our prearranged schedule. We plan to do this by 1975. Now, the surplus in the Crossroads bond program has already been consumed in structural changes and major additions to the convention center. Now, in order to complete the necessary facilities by summer of 1973, we need the extra money. Now, we want to promise these people that we'll have it, but we don't have it right now, and we're not sure where we're going to get it. The conventioners say they'll bring 12,000 people each year to the city of Dallas. Past records prove they will spend $50 a day each. That's $600,000 a day. Over 4.5 or 5 days, that's $2.5 to $3 million per visit. And over 5 years, that's $12 to $15 million into the city of Dallas in exchange for another $2.5 million outlay. Is it a good bet? Is it a good gamble? Well, we may have to decide that at the polls and sometime soon in order to come up with the cash to at least roll the dice. This is Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Well, first, the increase in tuition. These funds will not be used for North Texas State University. In other words, I'm being asked to pay extra money to support the University of Texas system, specifically to help the University of Texas system build a University of Texas in Dallas, which at the moment I don't think the state needs. Secondly, I can't afford it. In talking with the other members of the ex-Marines, none of them can afford it. And I know that most of the veterans on campus are having a hard time now, just getting by.
You think that this actually might keep people from being able to go to college then? What, $50, $60 additional?
Yes, I mean, it's as direct, it'll have a direct influence on me whether I can continue next semester. Now, I'm a graduate student, and if I have over, let's suppose I have 15 hours of college credits here, and they raise the tuition, and I can't afford to go here and have to go elsewhere, then I'm going to lose about 9 hours of college work.
The Texas legislature is to receive a proposal that would allow counties of over 700,000 population to add $1 to vehicle registration tax. Dallas Mayor Pro Tem Jack McKinney said yesterday that this bill would give the county of Dallas in particular something like $1,100,000 in monies to be used for an emergency ambulance service. We're talking to Ronald Hughes, the president of Dudley Hughes Ambulance Service.
Give Dallas and the municipal governments set up to study this problem and see what the recommendations that they have before we start adding another tax to our people.
They have asked that we assist them at the present time, which we're doing anyway. This is our jurisdiction. The county line going through the airport properties. The county line on my side, on the west, is my jurisdiction to patrol right now. And the one on the other side, of course, is Clarence Jones's responsibility. And with the increased amount of equipment and materials on the job, these people feel that there should be someone there all the time. We do the best we can, but we're not there all the time.
Will this mean that you will have to hire specialized people to do nothing but that?
It means we'll have to hire patrolmen, yes.
Where will these funds come from?
The airport, the joint Dallas-Fort Worth Airport.
We have taken a different approach to that. What we have done is we have invited the conservationists, the industry, the native people, and the people of my department to sit at the same table in study group. And we had many field trips with the conservationists, and they have looked together, not in confrontation, but together to find a solution. And we have been successful to avoid big confrontation now, because the companies, the oil companies, have been realists in the Canadian side on that, and they have worked with the conservationists. I don't know if it will last. And we made sure, too, that for the participation of the native people in the discussion. And all that have given us some assurance that we can find a way that will be acceptable to everyone.
We plan on going about it in an orderly manner to get this removed.
Miss Connie Rucker of the Water Control and Improvement District says that, yes, it was an oversight and should be corrected at the next board meeting.
Well, this has never happened to the district before, but we appreciate the landowner's situation. And although the annexation by white settlement took place in 1963, the situation was not questioned since it was hidden in the county taxation rolls. When the city council presents the resolution to the district, it will be presented to the board at the next meeting, which is March the 23rd, and given full consideration.
So that's the way it goes sometimes in government. Errors are made not through malice, but simply through oversight. But finally, sometime this month, an 8-year-old inequity is about to be corrected. Jay Lewis, Channel 8 News on the Move, Fort Worth.
Well, at the moment I have an idea of some, because some of these fellows that played here in Dallas last year certainly will have to come back to Dallas this year. Numbers just oust them really from the Rochester job or the Baltimore job. Making that Baltimore baseball club is a difficult task for anyone. In fact, it's a difficult task for some of the fellows that are there. So I can't anticipate too many changes in Baltimore, and consequently there can't be too many changes at the Rochester level. So therefore, some of the fellows have to come back here that were here last year. Naturally, some of these fellows I'm very happy to see back here, and I think that some of the other fellows that maybe didn't do as good a job last year as they were capable of doing can come back this year and do a better job for us because they've had that year under their belt now.
I have 5 quarterbacks on my roster right now. 2 young rookies that I drafted, Patrick Zini and Lynn Dickey. And they're both big, strong kids, and I feel very fortunate that being a rookie head coach that I have these young quarterbacks to start out with. I think it enhances your future when you have some young kids like this that look like they're going to be around for a long time.
Where are you strongest right now?
Well, with 5 quarterbacks, I'd have to say I'm strong there. I feel like I'm strong at the tight end position. I have Alvin Reed, and we picked Willie Frazier back up from San Diego, who used to be with the Oilers at one time. He's a big, strong, fast tight end, so I feel like I'm strong at the tight end position. I feel like I have good strength in my secondary. and I feel that there are a few spots that I don't feel completely comfortable with right now, but possibly through trades I can help that situation.
Would you rule out, or would you include the possibility of some of your young quarterbacks in trades to help you at other positions?
Well, if this is what it's going to take for me to get certain people on trades, I would certainly have to consider it because of the overall team strength.
You've heard the expression, you're out of your tree. Well, that's what they're trying to prevent here at North Texas State University. 100 or more students working in shifts of 20 or 25 at a time have been spending the day digging around the root system of about 10 jujube and pecan trees in an effort to save them from being bulldozed over for a parking lot. We asked biology professor Dr. Don Smith why this effort is worthwhile.
Sometimes you get the feeling that they're going to pave the world. You know, you really do. And these trees are 25 or 30 years old. They are large and very pretty, and they could be made use of rather than simply wasted by bulldozing them over. And campuses and cities and so forth could make far better use of trees that exist on places they pave, on streets and so forth, if we would simply expend the effort to move some trees that we already have.
Aren't there enough trees around without having to worry about these right here?
Well, North Texas alone spent several $1,000s this year to buy trees. They are much smaller trees than this. By the time they get this size, 10 or 15 years will have passed. Why not use these like this?
Besides these who are putting their backs into the effort to save these trees, there has been some help from sorority girls who have brought by some fortification in the form of brownies and cookies. And there's cooperation by the city and by the school administration. They're going to provide the big machines needed to lift out the heavy trees and to transport them to the city parks and other places where they can be put to good use. At the University of Texas at Austin, where there was concern over trees being removed for progress, the students got up in the trees and sat there to try to keep them from being removed. Here at North Texas State University, these students have put their backs into the effort to see that the trees are put to good use rather than removed. This is Roger McDonald, Channel 8 News on the Move in Denton.
The position of the council is that it is not a controversial issue at this time. It is a issue of concern. The people in this area are being taxed by the Water Control District and paying a high water rate. We feel that this is double taxation, and this item has been on the agenda for a couple, 3 weeks. It came forward to our attention by a resident of the area that wanted to get no breakdown of his taxes. We maintain that these people should not be paying taxes to the Water Control District.
From the reports that I've heard, $1,100,000 would not do the things that have been set forth. We have a committee that is studying this problem, and I would think that we should wait until the committee reports before we start solving problems that may or may not exist. We can go off in any direction, and I'm sure that any entity could spend $1,100,000. They could spend $2 million if they wanted to, or $10 million. But whether the public would get value received and whether it would be good for the county, these are things that are yet to be seen.
Well, Art, it's like any other area that is exposed to the public. You have to defend the public from being injured. And it's necessary that we have a patrol of the airport properties in order to ensure that someone doesn't get out there and hurt themselves in some manner and then end up with a problem with the cities and all of the problems that would be relative thereto. Also, of course, there are a considerable amount of work going on the airport, and it's necessary that some protection be taken against pilferage and action of that type.